However, sooner we get this started, sooner it's done.
Hello and welcome to the What the Falk Sunderland Immediate Review podcast. It's 5:15-ish and we've decided to come straight on, get this one out of the way because Sunderland have turned, basically 5 wins and 6 into 2 defeats and 3 by getting ourselves knackered at Watford. There's probably going to be a bit of passion in this. It's been a while since we've done an immediate recording, so just basically not going to apologise for it. Just strap yourselves in and let's get going. First and foremost with me is Echoey Pete in Germany. How are we doing, Pete? Harry?
Hello from the bottom of my well of despair. I can't. I have actually bought stuff to sort out the echo, but I couldn't be bothered to do it today after that performance. I was having a lovely day. I ran the 5K this morning ahead of the marathon tomorrow. I'm not doing the marathon this year. I did it last year. Never again. I was having a lovely old time. Mate over from China said, "Look, watch Sunderland. Loves football. Thinks he's a Man United fan. He's not. He will be a Sunderland fan. Watch the match. Oh, he's great. Oh, Mundle, fantastic. This lad, brilliant. This lad, brilliant." Never introducing anybody to Sunderland Football Club again.
Yeah. They like to do that sometimes. But Brad, immediate reaction to a really annoying game. But before we get into it, how are you doing, mate? You all right?
Yeah, canny. I'm always canny. Fine. But it's back to feeling normal, isn't it? I'm always in a canny mood. And then I watch Sunderland, and this is what I came to expect. Anyway, that what we felt over the last few weeks was a bit out of the norm. This is the Sunderland I know. It's
like when you say to anyone on this podcast, "How are you doing? Are you all right?" Everyone says, "Yes, I'm not too bad, but I let Sunderland Association Football Club rule my entire life, and they've turned a very good day into a crap day." Look, we're going to try not be too harsh on them because we have been excellent this season and we waxed lyrical last week, but today wasn't great, and it's probably more frustrating than the Plymouth game. At least it feels like it at the minute. It was a defeat, 2-1 defeat for people who are not aware of it, which would be weird, but I'll say it anyway. Pete, a very avoidable defeat. How do you sum it up?
It feels worse than the Plymouth defeat because in that game, Rooney, whatever he'd said to them about knowing where the grandmothers live or having their phone numbers, it clearly worked. They came out all fired up after half time and, ultimately deserved what they got. And this time we did that. We came out looking smashing in the second half after what had been a poor first half. It was very, very poor. There was easy, sloppy little mistakes left, right and centre. There's quite a few players I think you can dig out for the first half performances, but quite a few players that you can really praise for the second half performances. And it was all going, I won't say swimmingly, but I think a point would have been very fair for how both teams had played and certainly how Sunderland had come back. And then you saw that lad for, is it Barr for Watford who was running down their side there. And I'm shouting at the telly and sounding like Alan Partridge, not for the first time. Going, Dan! Because you could see what he was going to do. And he had a couple of snaps at him and any of them would have been penalties. And it's... Soon you hope it. I mean, I thought Pato might have done it with the header at the end, but it was a lovely header from them. But yeah, it's deflating. I'm really glad they've got a game so quick. Because that one, as you say, it's as I said, it hurts more than the Plymouth game because of the manner in which it's come about. And as much as we've praised Dan Neil on this podcast, and as much as I still think he's a very good footballer, he has been very poor this year. He was very, very poor today. Yeah, I mean, look, they deserve praise when they play well, and I do think they deserve and they should be able to take criticism when they don't. And he knows the standards he has. He knows the standards he set. He hasn't lived up to them. Whether that's the weight of the captain's armband, it's not something I particularly buy, but I'm also not a professional footballer, so I don't know how that weighs upon you. Certainly the standard of football I've ever played, it doesn't really make that much difference. You're just the one that shouts loudest. So it's I don't know how that weighs on you so much heavier as a professional. I wouldn't know at all. But yeah, something's not right. He's not been up to it. He set those standards. And when he doesn't make them, he has to take the criticism for not making them.
I think, look, we normally pick out players and stuff like that. I don't think there's much point. I think there's been. I don't want to single anyone. It's
going to be a short one this week, isn't it?
If we went for positives anyway. But you're right in a sense, though. Like one little mistake can overshadow what was actually not a bad second half performance, and actually quite a positive way to come out. And there's a couple of positive things we can pick out that I've noticed. And at the risk of saying I don't want to single anyone out and then singling somebody out immediately, I can't really avoid the Daniel question. I don't want to say I'm pleased we did it, but Brad brought it up, I think either last week or the week before when we were winning, and we said, look, Daniel doesn't look quite on it. And a lot of the listeners' questions have been directed towards, is the armband either too big for him? Do we remove his armband? Does he get dropped? X, Y, and Z. Hopefully, and I don't think it'll be Tuesday, Alan Brown will be back in soon, who's been more than impressive. And we've also got the Ghanaian boy to come in as well, who's obviously played at a really high standard. So there is options there when everyone's fit. But like I said before, with Dan Neil, I don't want to base all this just based on the really silly decision that has ultimately cost us a point. And it has, which is really silly. Because we have discussed Daniel's performances over the past few weeks. This is not like a one-off snap judgment thing. But Brad, I want to kind of change a little bit the question, because my original question was going to be like, how poor has he been? Is there something about his contract? Is there something with that? Is it the armband? What is it? It doesn't really matter what it is. And I think the answer to the question of should we replace him, I think based on his form, we would all probably agree, yes. My question I'm going to give to you is, Dan Neil's now played 100 plus games. He's 22. He's been given the captain's armband because he's now one of the more experienced players in that squad. There's a couple of times over the past year, and I'm Daniel's biggest defender. I think on form he's our best player. But there's a couple of times when you could say he's been silly, and that's me being kind. Today being one of them where it's cost us. How much of a worry is that Daniel now, who is experienced, is still making silly mistakes and wearing the captain's armband? Because I think the question of should we replace him, has he been poor? We know the answer to that. Let's discuss something that'll affect the future. Like, how important is it that he cuts this stuff out?
It's quite worrying for me, because in each of our 3 seasons in the Championship, he's had a red card. And it seems like he's not really cutting that area out of his game. Look, the Burnley game didn't cost us, thankfully, but it was back to the wall for the last 5-10 minutes.
And he didn't need to make that tackle. Like, at the time, no. It was stupid and it annoyed me.
Third. It's their final third. Don't dive in like that. But it's at the stage now. I've seen some people saying, yep, he'll still learn. He is now what you class as one of the more senior players in that dressing room. That is being magnified now because he's been given that captain's armband. We can't be saying he will learn from it, he'll do this, because that's 3 red. He's had 3 red. He got 3 red cards in 3 seasons. Clearly hasn't learned from the last ones. And if he's going to be one of these leaders, and he is the leader on the pitch, he can't keep making these mistakes and costing us points. We've been massive fans of Daniel. We said last season, even including Jack Clark, arguably Daniel was our standout player. What the worry is now, he is still the standout player, but that's because everyone else has upped their game and brought so much more to the table. And we were sort of saying, has Daniel sort of just same level he was, and everyone else has sort of upped their game? But it's been lingering with me, and I think it's Daniel's took a big dip, and it could be the weight of the captain's armband. For me,
Could it be anything to do with his contract, Brad? I know we're kind of delving too deep into something that, like, effectively last week we didn't care about because we'd won 5 and 6, but like the captaincy and stuff, he's had it before. He's made these mistakes before he's had the captaincy, these like silly little daft mistakes, which are so frustrating because he's got so much quality. I've said before, I think he's our best player, and I don't really disagree with that. I think when he's on form, he's our best player. But like, is there like a contract thing in the back of his head? Because there was discussion around that contract. Like, could it be more? Something's up with him, isn't it? Like, that's not the Dan Neil we know.
He needs to pick himself up and get his head back in the game, because as it stands, he ain't going to earn himself a big pay rise and a new deal with us. And the way that he's performing, look, he's 22, I get it. But the way he's performing, some of these big boys that were being touted were having a look at him, like your Liverpools and things. They're going to look and think, nah, we'll go elsewhere. There's another young guy who's a bit younger that's playing alongside you. I think he might be worth more of a shot. And he's got to be very careful. If it is an attitude thing, like you say, about a contract or something like that, he needs to be very careful on how he puts his protest in. Should we put it that way? Because his performances, pure and simply, have not been good enough. And it's not a reactionary thing today. Listen back to other pods, we have said, without really digging them too far out. And we put it down to maybe the other 10 players around him have upped their game. And maybe he's just went past where he was and he needs to up it. But it's starting to worry me now that he's massively out of form. And look, I don't know if it's another thing as well. I've put it in the group. When he got a red card, we played outstanding at Portsmouth and he came straight back in. Does that mentally make him think, well, I'm undroppable, I'm invincible, they're not going to drop me? Reggie Labrie could have put out a big statement there by keeping the same team as Portsmouth down at Plymouth and said, look, if you mess on and you almost cost us make stupid mistakes like Dan Neil did for his second yellow, you ain't coming back in the side because everyone else has now got the shirt. That was a big opportunity there, and that might have had a big difference on, I'm not going to say the results, but the mentality around the place, where he thinks, I need to work twice as hard now, because he's came straight back in, and is he looking at it going, I'm the captain, I'm undroppable? Who knows? Or he just might be out of form. It might just be pure and simple, he is out of form. And we're looking far too far into it. But we've got to take it on what we see and ask the questions, because we're still in a good position. There's 2 players sat there that you go, look, mate, you're not performing, you're out.
No, I can't disagree with a lot of stuff Brad said. And, you know, as we touched before, we're all obsessed with the football club. That dictates our mood on a weekly and sometimes bi-weekly basis. Twice weekly basis, sorry. It may just be as simple as he's not on form. We don't know what's going on with Dan across I don't know, has he had a kid or something, or getting enough sleep? It could be anything. But he simply hasn't quite been good enough. And I don't think it can happen for Tuesday. I don't think there's a replacement there, because I think Alan Brown won't be fit for Tuesday. And I don't think that the boy from Ghana, Samed, is also going to be fit. I think he said a couple of weeks. So the question is, when does he get dropped, from a lot of people on the listeners' questions, Peter? But like, I don't think it's possible. So like, what do we need to see from Daniel on Tuesday?
Do the simple things simply and correctly. Don't dive into a stupid tackle like that. Don't mouth off at a referee and get sent off like Berra last year. You know, I mean, granted, that was ridiculous. But, you know, what would be nice for him is to finish 90 minutes and we go, he was all right, wasn't he? But I do think probably could benefit from probably sitting one out at least, and just seeing that there is a replacement there for him, that he isn't undroppable. Brad's completely right, and we talked about that at the time, about what it does to the mentality of the squad for Dan Neil to come back in. And I don't think it was the right decision from Labrie. And when he's got things right, we're so quick to praise him. So when he does get things what I think are wrong, and the results would suggest that bringing Dan Neil back in and persisting with Dan Neil when he hasn't been brilliant perhaps is a wrong decision. Hate saying that, but you know, the results do seem to show it. So Reggie de Vries deserves a little bit of criticism for that as well. Mate, I thought Wilson Isidor was great. I enjoyed that. I thought Dennis Serkin got better as the game went on, considering he started with his worst performance I've seen him have for a long time. He took a great old knock towards the end there as well, and he got up and was sprinting down the left wing. That was nice to see. Mate, but he didn't have a good game by anybody's standards, never mind by the high standards Dennis Serkin set. But yeah, Wilson Isidor, striker's finish there, mind.
Yeah,
lovely, great. No, I thought the one in the first half. I thought it was, sometimes they'll go in the bottom corner, and it would have been brilliant. And it would have been lovely. But he's finished. He's where he was in position for the goal. He took it really well. I'm over the moon for the lad because let's face it, he's talked the talk. It's nice for him to be able to score the goal and do all that. And I'm really pleased that he's done it. So let's try and find the nuggets of gold in the mines of shit.
I'll say on Isidor quickly, he's done everything right in that first half. He's done everything right in the first half where he's run at the defender, he's got him twisted up, and then he's just one touch out of his feet and he's tried to come back across the goalkeeper. Everything right. And look, you'd say 5 out of 10, them just nestle in the far corner. I just want to see more of that. That was, you've seen that we had someone who has got a bit about him as a striker there today.
As what I like about him is when the ball isn't directly at him, he's got those lovely long gangly limbs and he's able to get something on it, and it might not come directly under control, but it certainly stops the defender from getting it away, and it gives him another bite at things. I love that about a player where you can hit the ball at them and just literally hit it at them and they'll do something with it. I think I'm quite happy with him. He gets my 2 thumbs fresh from this game, but not sure why he came off. Any particular understandings? Just keep him ready for Tuesday, or?
I think it's a case of just keeping stuff fresh. But one thing I'll say about Isidor, because look, there was positive stuff in this game. I actually think the result is more frustrating in the way that it came about than the Plymouth game. But it was, in my opinion, and I know some people might disagree with this because the first half was poor, it was a better performance than the Plymouth game on paper if you separate them in isolation. I thought Isidor had a good game. I thought Wilson did really well. We've all been desperate to see him score and stuff like that. The big thing for me, Brad, is the fact that last year we all sort of willed on Hamir. We all willed on Mayenda. We all willed on Rusin. We all willed on, we all seen Burstow play football. Wilson's had 1 start, 1 goal. I don't think we've probably realised as a fan base or touched on how important that's going to be for him. There's no monkey hanging on his back with that goal being scored. He's scored, he's done it. We already like his personality. It'll probably be overshadowed a bit today by the fact we got beat and all the stuff we've just spoke about. But not only how well he played today with Isidor, but how good is that he's actually scored straight off the bat, Brad, that he's got that goal, and now it's a case of not waiting for his first goal. It's right, what can he do next?
Yeah, he's got that monkey off his back straight away without even climbing up there. And like you say, we willed on everyone last season, but we didn't have Wilson. Boom. It's excellent. And you could just, like I've just said there 2 minutes ago, you could just see he has played as a striker previously. It's not like, and I know Hamir's played at academy levels. Mayenda had before. Apparently Burstow had.
Mm-hmm.
So we're always thinking it's got to happen. It's got to happen. But we're watching it and looking at it and going, have these actually kicked the football? Never mind played as striker. But with Isidor, you just know he has. And that just gives you a bit of confidence about it. And he's done it at a good level as well. It's not just like the Ukrainian second division or Benfica B. He's actually done it at a competitive level against teams that we've actually heard of or have seen play. Yeah, and the best thing for that to happen now, even if Mayenda, we know, do we know? Yeah. So he went for a scan on Thursday. I think it was a groin or a thigh issue. Even if it comes back, he can play. For me, Isidor's got that shirt at the moment until we need to start rotating it a little bit more, because it's no good. And we've seen it happen in the past. They get a goal, then the week after he's out the squad. What's that about? He's in there as a striker. He's got a goal. He's had a decent performance. Let's keep him in there and see if he does it again on Tuesday.
I think for me, I said it first game of the season. I was one of the people that thought Mayenda played quite well, and then he got 2 goals against Sheffield, and it was kind of the debate that Mayenda could play up front was kind of gone temporarily and, well, permanently, really. And he's had a good season so far. Mayenda, he's been involved with goals and scored goals. But I said after the Cardiff game, I'd like someone that can play up front, which guarantees that he doesn't have to play every single week and the pressure's not on him to score goals every week. I'd like this to be his season where he shows what he can do without having the pressure to do it every single week. And Isidor today showed that he can step in and do what he needs to do. And then, of course, fingers crossed, you've got the young Irish boy that's came in as well, and hopefully he can, bag 6 to 7 goals and take a bit of pressure off all the other strikers as well.
What I will say is as well, when Rusyn came on, someone's obviously had him on the treadmill for the last few weeks, because there was a point. He opened his legs and got in behind it, and it was nearly a very, very good chance. He had to let their centre-half make a big decision. Am I going to foul him or try and hold him up as best I can? That, without actually doing anything with the ball at his feet, Rusyn actually looked quite bright today as well. And is that a mentality thing, knowing that there's another striker coming? He has to now up his game big time because he's possibly gone from 3rd to 4th choice.
I actually, I don't know if he is good enough yet, but there's a lot of people that really don't rate Rusyn, and I've seen it online already. I thought he looked all right when he came on today. I'm
still not impressed.
Not hugely, no, but I don't think he's a complete write-off. Like, for me, when I saw Burstow and Hamir, I kind of immediately made my mind up in a sort of 4 or 5 games. I still think there might be something there for Rusyn. I want to have another positive here. His first touch that he took was honking, but I thought everything he did after that was really positive. I thought Tommy Watson was really bright, Peter.
Brilliant.
I thought he did really well.
Brilliant. Yeah, the first touch, less said about that, the better. That's his start in the first team, is it? Is that
no, he came on against Chef Wedden. I think he used to come in a couple of cup games as well.
I thought he was great. I thought the crosses that he put in were lovely. I think he was waiting for it. We played one short in the Povieda, and he didn't get the ball back when I thought he should have done, because it would have been that chance for the Jack Clark in inverted commas goal, the coming on your right. But he got the ball the next time and he put in a lovely ball, lovely cross. And happy days. I mean, I thought Mundell played pretty decently when he didn't fall over the ball.
We were all right second half. That's the thing, that we've come on immediately and we sound despondent and that. We were all right second half. We've set these standards so high that when we miss it, you kind of go, oh, bloody hell, lads. Don't do that. It's one thing today from a player you bank on that's cost us a point. Look, first half was cack. And I like using the word.
They were awful. They defended far too deep. They set up in a way that seemed to give Watford a whole lot more credit than I think they deserved. Don't think Watford are a terrible side, but they're not they're not who, because I don't fear anybody in this league, if I'm honest, when Sunderland are playing on song and playing as they have been able to in the first few games that we've seen. But I think it was a poor first half. It was a very, very poor first half. And trying to dig out those positives, it does show that Lebris can do something when he gets them in. Because when he got them in, he had whatever he's done, whatever word he's had with them seemed to have worked, and it was working. It was, if we'd gotten a point there, we would have come on and gone, brilliant, happy days, isn't that great? Look at that, trust in the plan. The plan works. It's a stupid thing that means we're in this situation. But you asked us about Tommy Watson, and I thought he was great, and I think it's. Look, I love seeing the lads from the academy come through, and he's been really impressive at the academy in those games few games that I've been able to watch on the YouTube. Long may it continue. I tell you, it's not a bad one to have if you bring off Romain Mundell, who I think is fabulous when he's on song, and you bring on Tommy Watson, who I feel has the potential to be brilliant. So, yeah, well done, the young lad.
I like the fact that he looks like Jack Clark and plays like him. It makes me feel very safe. But I think it's been widely rumoured that there was a bid from Brighton. I think the boy needs to be part of the first team before he starts deciding that maybe he's got a better chance elsewhere. And I think he did himself no harm and getting more shots today.
They're not daft. They're not daft when it comes to young players. if their scouts are seeing something in him, there's something in him. I mean, we've watched probably more of him than their scouts have between the lot of us. But if Brighton are looking at him, he's probably all right, like, isn't he?
Yeah, I mean, he certainly looked good today. The one thing that went under his foot, but that can happen to the best of us, that I think for his first real, like the other times when he came on, it's not been a pressure situation. Today he came on and it was like, right, make a difference, and he did, and that's where he needed to be. There's going to be more negatives than positives today because of the result and because of how it came. Poor first half, mistake in the second. So I did want to ask something, Peter, because we went in depth, me and you personally, last week on how impressed we were with Reggie Lebrie's tactics. There's a few people that said, saying, oh, this is the same as last week. I think last week was good. I've got no issue with last week. It made sense against Middlesbrough. For me, Watford are a big physical team. They're all about pace. So I'm not like, this is not the downfall of Regis Lebris. I think he's been great so far, but I thought he got it wrong today. For first 45s I've touched on wasn't good enough. I thought the tactics were wrong. I don't think you need to give a side like Watford the ball. And outside of Tommy Watson, I didn't really understand these substitutes. You already said before, I don't know why Wilson Isidor went off. And as much as I don't think Wilson was that bad when he came on, I didn't understand Wilson going off. I really didn't understand Roberts going off. And I think it's a reactionary thing, but I'm a little bit cheesed off at Paveda having a laugh and a joke with the guy who scored the winner because he used to play with him. And maybe I should be a bit more human, not be as harsh. But I thought he was cack when he came on. Didn't see much in him. Would have left Roberts on. And I don't like play. I'm like Roy Keane. Don't smile when you get beat. I don't like it.
I mean, yeah. I agree with that. I agree with that. I don't think Paveda was as bad as that. I mean, I would have left Roberts on. But now I was watching it on the stream here, and Roberts seemed to go, from what I was watching, directly down the tunnel, which worries me. Now, it was pointed out in our chat he could have just needed a cack. But you never know. He might have done. I hope so. I hope it was a pleasant one and everything went well and he's happy. But the limited wiping, all good. But if he has gone down the tunnel, and it is because there's something more sinister, then perhaps that makes sense for bringing him off. But
like
I didn't
diarrhea.
see why. I didn't. Anyway. Moving along from Graham's scatological outbursts, I didn't agree with bringing Robert. Unless there was something wrong with him, I don't think Robert should have come off. I don't think Paveda was as bad as you're saying, but he wasn't as good as Roberts was when Roberts was on the pitch. And I absolutely agree with you. Laughing and joking with them, nah, not at all. Don't care if it's your best mate, don't care if it's your brother, until the final whistle goes. And even then, leave it for the dressing rooms, leave it for after the game's done, because they're not supposed to be doing that. They're not on there to do that. And it doesn't sit right with me. But in terms of the substitutions, what the question was about, when he's getting it wrong, when he's getting it right, I don't. Yeah, look, if we would get in a point, we'd probably say it's worked. So can we really say it was so terrible because of the way we lost? Because it wasn't a tactical mistake that lost us the game. It was a daft tackle in a daft situation by a lad who should know better than being so daft.
But like first half though, like why did we set off against Watford?
Oh no! He got it wrong. He got it wrong in the first half. What I was saying earlier on is I'm quite happy that he was able to at least do something with them. So when they came out, go, right lads, that hasn't worked. Let's tear up that original plan and we move on to the next plan. And in all fairness, that's something we've been asking for as fans for a long time, because too often there's only been a plan A. There hasn't been a plan B or plan C when it's needed. And he changed something about them. Or something changed about the way they played, whether that's Lebris or whether that's just them going, we should probably play better next half, shouldn't we? It did seem like a plan had been changed and it worked better in the second half. So I have to give him a bit of credit there. It didn't work to start off with. I don't know why he set up like that. I largely agree with everything you said there. Brad, I talked before, we've got a few minutes left, and I've a lot of the listeners' questions were covered in questions anyway. I'll have a wee look because we're immediately on. There might be a few more, but I said there's no replacement. I'm totally talking shite.
There's obviously, I know nothing about him. I don't know if he would fit into the same role as Daniel would, but I suppose you could move Joe Bellingham back and you could give Alexis his first start. I mean, I know Derby got beat today, but I don't know if anyone watched the game. They probably shouldn't have because the ball was out of play twice. So I don't think they're a team that leaks loads of goals unless you just, put the ball out of play and try and cheat goals in, Norwich. But there is an option there to change the side a little bit. And look, we've got a game on Tuesday and a game on Friday. So I think on our off form, you probably need to freshen stuff up a little bit. Does Alexis come in? Because I think he's more attacking. So you could maybe drop Job into your 4, your 6 position.
Yeah, unless Alan Brown's ready. It's completely down to what's the crack with Alan Brown. If he feels up to playing on Tuesday and then we don't play him on Friday, look, if he says, I've only got one game and I'll play him Tuesday and get it freshened up because there's an international break as well afterwards. Is it after the Leeds game? I think it is. Yeah. So, but on the flip side, do you risk... and then he pulls up and then you lose him for a bit longer. So if Alexis is up for it and he's up to it, which I'm guessing he will be because you don't put him on the bench otherwise, I'll have no problems with that because I thought Joe Bellingham was excellent at Portsmouth. Even though I think he's been our best player this season overall, I think his best game as a whole was at Portsmouth where he was playing to cover where Dan Neil was playing, which is quite strange. I think Joe's been excellent all season. But his best game was when he was dropped a bit deeper. But I like to see him just being the floater across. No, he's not shite. I like him just covering every blade of grass like he has been. So yeah, I'd be more than comfortable with a change that needs to come in. But your other one is this guy named Samed. Is it Samed?
Samed, I think.
Yeah. I think, was it a week and a half ago, Reggie said he should be in around the time of Watford. I think maybe he's we're not listening at the day, we'll use him in the week.
Yeah, maybe.
So look, he's played in the Champions League, he's played at the top level. He's from what I've seen and what I've heard, a really, really competent player. Put him in there, that is his natural position where Dan Neil's been playing. Put him in there, leave the rest as is, because yeah, not everyone was great, but you've got everyone in the natural position there, and I'll just leave it at that. But yeah, Alexis, I wouldn't be too against that either, because I think Job is excellent anyway you put him in midfield.
So if Brown's fit, would you like to see Brown as a floater? Or
If Brown was fit, personally, I'd put Brown back in and drop Job. I'd set up exactly like we've done at Pompey.
So just to clarify, Brown as a floater.
I wonder if Robert doesn't merge with a floater.
Oh God, at 38.
Can we talk about how much of a dirty bastard Ryan Porteous is? How do you say it?
Porteous.
Yeah.
We massively disagree with what your guest said through the week. And what we guessed is excellent.
Lovely lad. I had a really nice time listening to that one. That was a good. Also the Plymouth one before, I must say. But the lad from Watford was class. But he's wrong about that lad. He's a wrongin'. He's a wrongin', that Porteous.
Kind of not really got much time for listeners' questions, but we'll try. Right, okay, here's a good question. We'll just go simple. Pick your team for Tuesday, Pete.
Wow, I shouldn't groan before I did that. I went, right, Patterson, Sirkin, Meppen, O'Neill and Hume. I am going to go Mundle and Roberts on the wings, and in the middle I'm going Rigg, I'm going Job, and I'm going, if he's fit, Alan Brown. And up front, I'm playing Isidor, and I'm sitting Brown into Neil's position. If he's not fit, I quite like the idea. I think he will go with Dan Neil in there. I think he will. But I would, if it's possible to change it, I think I would like to see it. I think he's going to go with Dan Neil, though.
So I would keep the team exactly the same, which is not going to be popular opinion, but tell Dan Neil that the performance needs to improve or he's not in for the Leeds game. I will not put the pressure on him, just say, I
think that's fair.
We need more from you.
I think that's fair. I mean, it's a hard one to drop him if he's the captain, and if that does have the weight on it that it's supposed to. Anyway, I'm talking over Brad's turn.
Brad, before I let you go, we've got like 40 seconds or something because I will not pay for the Zoom premium. I'm not having
this week anyway.
I'm not having the capitalism. Does Daniel get dropped and do you bring someone else in, or do you keep the same side? Quick one.
Just said that Daniel gets dropped.
Mm.
And if it's Brown or Samed, that's available. If it's Brown, you bring him in, drop Joe deep. If it's Samed, you play there and keep Joe a bit higher. Bang, boosh, night.
Right. Sound. Good night, everyone. Enjoy your weekend.
Good night, God bless.
I wanna fall to the stars.